Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, everybody. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. We're going to be covering the news today. A lot of stuff to discover. I think the biggest story of the day is layoffs continue, but this one may surprise you. Microsoft is reportedly getting ready to lay off thousands of employees. Microsoft hasn't disclosed a number, but some sources within Microsoft have said it's going to be about 11,000 jobs. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that. I found kind of a neat site called layoffs.fyi. That basically has like a big Excel chart and kind of lists all the recent layoffs day by day by day, the companies, etc. Kind of interesting. Goldman Sachs stock fell 6.44%. Their stock tumbled after a big revenue loss. YouTube Shorts monetization starts February 5th, and a whole lot more. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in today's video. Shout out to today's sponsor before we start today's video, Merch Informer. Merch Informer is your all-in-one tool for selling on Amazon merch. Merch Informer offers keyword research, Amazon analytic research. They have a trademark check, so you can make sure you're not uploading t-shirts that are going to get taken down with a trademark violation. They also have a built-in t-shirt designer and a whole lot more. Check out Merch Informer, link in the description box below. In a lot of these videos, I've been giving recommendations for, documentaries, movies, YouTube channels to check out. So I got two suggestions for you guys today. The first is a YouTube channel called Trendifier with Julian Dory. The guy does interviews, does some really interesting interviews. Check out the channel. I'll try to remember to link to it in the description box below. And then I have an odd recommendation for you guys. I am obsessed with Costco. I stop by Costco almost every single day. I really shouldn't. It's hard to walk out of there without spending like $150, but it's right near my gym. They have a new snack called Tempura Crisps. It's basically like a panko fried piece of seaweed with like wasabi and soy. Really tasty treat. So if you guys are also Costco members or fans of Costco, check that one out, Tempura Crisps. But let's get into today's news. So yesterday, the Dow was down 341 points. I think at one point during the day, it was down almost 400 points. S&P 500 down slightly. NASDAQ up slightly. Not a whole lot of movement in the markets. As far as crypto has been surging in the past week. The 7-day chart is insane. AVAX up like 40%. Solana up 70-something%. Most cryptos continued their upward trend. Like top cryptos, maybe up 1.5%, 2% yesterday. So here's the big news of the day. Microsoft is reportedly getting ready to cut thousands of jobs. Microsoft tends to do layoffs in small waves because they don't want it to make the news cycle, right? If you lay off 100 people, 10 times, it's less likely to make the news than if you lay off 1,000 people all at once. But Microsoft, it's come out that Microsoft is laying off thousands of people. Here's another interesting thing about this story. So last week, Microsoft switched to an unlimited paid time off model or unlimited vacation model. Kind of smart to do because now when they lay these people, I mean, it's smart. I don't know that it's the right thing to do, but kind of a smart thing to do from a business perspective. They switched to unlimited PTO, so now they don't have to pay people off for their vacation time. So when they lay off all these employees, people aren't going to get paid for 3 weeks of vacation that they haven't used. And while Microsoft hasn't disclosed the number, somebody from within the company has told media outlets it's expected to be around 11,000. Now, we talked about how Microsoft typically does layoffs in smaller waves. Are they doing it all at once here? We did see an article the other week about how companies are debating whether to do layoffs in waves or all at once. But if this 11,000 worker layoff is just part of a wave of layoffs, that's kind of scary for what's to come. I briefly mentioned this at the intro to this video. There's a website, you guys can check it out for yourself. It's called layoffs.fyi, and it kind of lists all the companies who are currently doing layoffs. Some of the more recent ones, Lightspeed, which is a POS system, and they also can help manage your Shopify inventory. I believe it's a Canadian company. They were growing really quickly, but they've recently laid off 300. Unity laid off 284. Lending Club, the peer-to-peer lending site, laid off 225. Blockchain.com laid off 110. And this one's a little bit older, but Parler had laid off 60. Goldman Sachs stock fell 6.44% on the worst earnings they've had in over a decade. Goldman stock tumbles after a big revenue loss, and they have set aside $1 billion for future loan losses. So what does Goldman know that you don't know? YouTube Shorts are getting ready to get ads on February 1st. If you are a YouTube content creator who's in the YouTube monetization program, in order to not get kicked out of the program, you will need to go in and approve the new terms. I believe the cutoff date is by January 10th, but the sooner you do it, the sooner you are eligible to get your shorts monetized. Another kind of interesting thing about that, YouTube actually has a new analytics dashboard, and there's a new custom thumbnails feature for YouTube Shorts. I don't do YouTube Shorts a lot, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe you couldn't create custom thumbnails, and now you can. Let's briefly talk about the real estate market. I found this to be kind of funny. So, obviously the market was definitely a seller's market for a while. People were getting offers within hours of listing their homes. Almost all offers would be over asking. People were waiving inspections. Now we're kind of at a stalemate, right? Like buyers don't want to buy at these prices. Sellers don't want to sell at these prices. We'll have to wait and see who winds up cracking first. I think it's going to be the sellers, but it most certainly is no longer a seller's market. But I saw a funny home listing. I just wanted to read this one to you guys. I believe this home is in either Palm Beach or West Palm Beach. So in all caps, it says, please read, and this is basically the description of this Redfin listing. Please read before requesting the show. Sellers will only like for people to view the property through the virtual Matterport video. So you're not allowed to go actually see the home in person. You have to go through some virtual tour. You can't look at the home until you're under contract. So you have to agree to buy this home before you're even allowed to look at it. Once under contract, then an in-person showing can happen. The sellers would like a post-occupancy for up to 16 months, which he will gladly pay a monthly rate for. So if you guys don't know what post-occupancy is, sometimes let's say somebody is buying a new home or they're having a new home built and they have to sell their old home. Maybe there's like a 3 week, a month, maybe even a 3 month gap between when their new home's going to be ready. So if I'm selling my home, I can say, look, I'm going to sell this house, but I want you to lease it back to me for 6 weeks. And that means that even after the sale happens, I rent the house back for 6 weeks until my new house is ready. If the buyers don't need to be in my house right away, or maybe they have to sell their house first, normally not a big deal. It's one thing to do this for a couple weeks or a couple months. This guy would like damn near a year and a half to continue to stay in the home. What this read to me is, hey, I want to sell my house at these peak prices right now, but I also want to stay in this house for the next year and a half until the market collapses so that I can buy a new house for cheaper. That's basically what this reads like to me. The listing goes on to say, turnkey, immaculate 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, pool home, renovated in and out, fresh new coat of exterior paint, brand new impact windows, new open kitchen with granite countertops, bathrooms have been upgraded. Okay, so nothing else really interesting there, but I thought that that listing was kind of funny. Let's get back into the news here. Let's see. Factory employment has fallen to the weakest levels in 2 years. The CEO of Kroger says half of their customers are under financial strain, and he went on to say later this year you will see quite a bit of moderation inflation or flat inflation. So I guess best case scenario, inflation maybe stops going up, but it's going to stay where it is. Still not really good news. And we have the debt ceiling on Thursday. Surely that's going to be raised. How do we expect inflation to come down when we continue sending money to Ukraine? I guarantee you we're going to wind up spending a couple $100 billion giving the money to BlackRock to help rebuild Ukraine. Some city in San Francisco is talking about giving $5 million to each black resident as reparations, on top of wiping away all their debt, and running some other programs for the next 250 years. When we're spending all this money, how is inflation going to come down? Zero Hedge had an article yesterday. Layoffs are far higher than the jobless numbers. The average mortgage cost has reached 45% of income. Generally speaking, about 28% is ideal. I think probably 35% is considered high. And you will have some VA loans where maybe it goes up to about 50%. But 70% of our economy is consumer spending. So the idea that everybody's house poor and people have no money to go out and spend spells trouble for the economy. One thing that's interesting, just Joe Rogan saying something can make the news, can be a news story in and of itself. National news outlets the other day were talking about Joe Rogan said that the Democrats are trying to throw Joe Biden under the bus. Today we have an article from dailymail.uk.com, and the article is titled, "Biden Smirks and Laughs at Reporters, Will Again Refusing to Answer Questions on Classified Files as Shocking Report Reveals Department of Justice Made a Deal to Keep FBI Agents Away from the Search." So if you guys aren't familiar with this, I guess some of Joe Biden's aides found classified documents. They wound up, self-reporting and turning themselves in. And you might be saying, wow, that's it takes a lot of integrity to do the right thing and turn yourself in. I mean, do we really expect any politician has integrity, let alone that Joe Biden and the Biden White House has integrity? So there's something else behind this. Shortly after the first report came out about classified documents, 2 other reports came out about classified documents. One being that one of Joe Biden's mansions, and I think it was Connecticut, he had classified documents in the garage. Well, turns out Joe Biden was renting that home, or at least Hunter Biden was paying the mortgage on that home. Another weird thing about that, Joe Biden's claiming, I believe he's claiming that Hunter Biden gave him $20,000 in rental income. Hunter Biden's claiming that he paid $50,000. So what's happening with this missing $30,000? Is this $30,000 a month being quote unquote kicked up to the big guy? And one thing to keep in mind, this is from the Daily Mail, a UK publication. This isn't Fox News. Some bullet points from this article. Grinning Biden refused to answer questions from reporters in the Oval Office. Reporters shouted questions on the documents, but he sat and smiled. And a new report found the Department of Justice cut a deal with the Biden team to keep the FBI out. We're hearing more and more about how the DOJ and the FBI are politicized. I think this, if we didn't know that already, I think this kind of seals the deal. Justice agreed to let Biden's team solo search. So Department of Justice said, we'll take a step back. You guys search for these classified documents on your own and let us know what you find. The White House is under intense scrutiny for their response to the files scandal, and it took them 2 months from the first discovery to acknowledge them. Biden had talked about running in 2024. His wife has said she's on board. She wants him to run in 2024. Biden is a shell of a man. He clearly is not cognizant. He doesn't know what's going on. I don't know how Biden got as far as he did. He's not a good person. He's made many racist comments in the past. Remember, he didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle. He's been sniffing little girls' hair for the past 50 years. I mean, how the guy got where he is beyond me, but it looks like the Democrats are finally ready to throw him under the bus. As we approach midterms, I think they realize that he can't win in 2024. What else do we got here? These sanctions against Russia are pretty much a complete joke. We've recently learned that the UK is buying Russian oil. They're just buying it through India. So, we make a big stand about, sanctions. We're not going to buy, gas or oil or from Russia. But we're buying it from Russia. We're just buying it through India. So people in the UK are spending more money on oil, buying it from India instead of Russia directly, just to act like they're not buying oil from Russia. We keep talking about, one of my predictions for 2023 was TikTok is going to be banned. The University of Texas at Austin, as well as the University of Texas at San Marcos, has banned TikTok on school Wi-Fi networks and school wired networks. They've also begun to remove TikTok from university-issued cell phones, laptops, tablets, and desktop computers. The federal government banned TikTok from being on government devices. The military has banned soldiers from having TikTok. At this point, I think we're up to 23 or 24 different states that are either suing TikTok or have banned TikTok. And now the University of Texas is banning TikTok on their devices. It's only a matter of time until TikTok is going to be banned, in my opinion. Redfin recently released their December housing trends. Denver down 18% from the peak. However, when over the past 3 years, Denver has been going up 20, 22, 25% per year. 18 is still nothing. We're still well above the Mexican beer cough numbers. Russia is boosting the number of its soldiers in reaction to the West proxy war. Russia typically throws about, I don't think Russia has ever been in a conflict where they haven't thrown 5,000 men, 5,000 lives at the problem. Pretty much every war, Russia winds up, they're not necessarily the best fighters. They don't have the best technology, but they'll throw huge numbers of men at the problem. And normally they lose about 500,000 before a war is over. Currently, there are about 100,000 Russians dead, so we're about a fifth of the way through this war. Will the U.S. continue to give Ukraine $50 billion a year? And then on top of that, after we're done with this in 5 years and we spent $250 billion, actually that's way more than $250 billion, after we spent a couple $1 trillion, are we also going to give BlackRock another couple $1 trillion to help rebuild Ukraine? There's a new House bill that would criminalize social media posts supporting quote-unquote white supremacy or white replacement theory or criticizing people of color. So basically, you will not be allowed to criticize, and again, criticizing somebody who's a person of color. If there's an African American person or Latino person or Indian person, you're not allowed to criticize them for anything. It has nothing to do with their race, but you're just not allowed to criticize people of color. This bill is written that you're not allowed to have hate speech directed at quote-unquote non-white people. So I guess it's okay to direct hate speech at white people, but not to non-white people. Very odd. Mexico rolls out some of the strictest anti-tobacco laws. They ban smoking in public at beaches, smoking at hotels, parks, and public places. Businesses are also not allowed to promote or advertise tobacco products or sponsor tobacco companies. And like convenience stores are no longer allowed to have tobacco on display. So it's going to have to be like under the counter. This may be a good law for society. This may be a good law for public health. But when Mexico has their avocado industry being extorted by cartels, their lime industry being extorted by hotels, when they arrest a cartel member, the cartels just, break out wars in the street and the police are forced to release these people. Like, Mexico has no control over their country, and you think they're going to be able to enforce this tobacco ban? Probably not going to happen, but it's interesting nonetheless. Kind of one of the last stories of the day, the Supreme Court strikes down the thing in your arm mandate for healthcare workers. The basis being that New York Governor Kathy Hochul and the New York State Department of Health overstepped their authority by sidestepping the legislator. The judge also ruled that the rule is arbitrary and capricious because, the judge cited evidence that the thing in your arm does not stop the spread of the Mexican beer cough. So why are we going to mandate something that's not going to have any effect anyways? So I thought that was kind of an interesting story as well. Kind of a slow day with news today. As always, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything we've discussed in today's video. And, it's kind of hard coming up with all these news stories. So if you guys see an interesting story about the economy, about business, about e-commerce, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, or you can always shoot me an email, RulesForRebels@gmail.com, and help give me some content for some future videos. That's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.